All right. Well, welcome to today's Lunch and Learn for Leaders. For those who want to be, I'm super excited that everybody is here today. We still have some more people that are joining, but we are going to be talking about a really great topic today. And let me just start with this. Can you think of a time that you were on a team where everyone trusted each other? What was that like?
Well, hi, I'm RJ. Nice to meet everybody. I would say for me, people are willing to go the extra mile and take risks when they feel they're trusted. I feel like if you're not trusted, you don't know how to take those leaps.
Yeah, that's good. Anybody else? What about, have you ever been on a team where trust is missing?
Yes.
Yeah. How did you feel about that?
Well, it's not very productive.
Yeah. Tell me more about that.
Well, because if you don't trust someone, there's a hidden agenda there. So any comment or request or idea, sometimes you second guess because you're like, okay, what's really behind that? And is that really the proper thing to do in the space that we're at?
Sure. Yeah. Anybody else? Well, as leaders, we understand the importance of nurturing strong relationships, and we want to create an environment where our team members feel valued and respected. So let's explore today how transparency plays a crucial role in building trust within our teams, which ultimately leads to success. So let's start by defining transparency and trust. First of all, transparency, it means open communication, honesty, and consistency in our actions. When we're transparent, we share information openly. There isn't that hidden agenda. There's no ulterior motive. There's no questioning like, what did they mean by that? Even sometimes it can get so extreme to the point where we're even questioning like tone and glances. What did that mean? Trust, on the other hand, it is the bedrock of any strong relationship. It's built on mutual respect and reliability and integrity. And as leaders, when we operate with transparency, we lay the groundwork for trust to flourish within our teams. And when our team members know that we're open and honest with them, they feel valued and respected. And so that strengthens their trust in us, and they begin to mimic that. And so then there's just that continued trust in each other. So what do you think it means when you hear the word transparent leader? What does that mean to you?
I think there's definitely a level of like showing vulnerability, and it puts you out to like showing that like maybe you're not always right, or that it just makes you connect to people on a more personal level. Because everybody wears masks, and they're always afraid of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. And so for myself, being transparent includes being vulnerable. And
yeah, that can be really scary too. Yeah. Anybody else? What does it mean to you to be a transparent leader?
I think it's helpful as a transparent leader to be accepting of others' opinions, even though you don't agree with them. Also seeing both sides of issues or, ideas or whatever. And also being willing to promote the other person, because as a leader, what you want to do is help your employees or whoever you're leading to grow and learn and excel as much as possible.
Yeah. imagine working in a place where a transparent leader, something goes well, and naturally people look to the leader and go, oh, well, it must have been something that you did. And then the leader says, well, actually, no, Susie, she was pivotal to the success of this project. And to be able to be transparent in that way, to say, I don't have to take all of the glory. I certainly can't accept all of that. I didn't do this by myself. So some of the characteristics that inspire trust in a transparent leader include open communication. Everybody who hangs out with me for any length of time knows that I'm a big fan of communication and talk about that a lot. Open communication really is key. It means not only sharing information, but actively seeking input and feedback from our team members. Communication goes both ways. It's not just simply me talking all the time, it's also me listening. And so that active communication really helps a leader be transparent. They're going to be open with their team. They're going to share information. They're going to share goals. They're going to share challenges. That's part of being a transparent leader, is saying, hey guys, we've got some tough times right now, or things aren't fabulous. These are some of the struggles that we're going through. And even getting to the point of saying, what are your thoughts? How do you think that we could address this issue? Bringing them into the conversation and bringing them in to be a part of the solution. They encourage dialogue and feedback. And again, that creates an environment where your team member, they feel heard and they feel valued. And when somebody comes into work knowing that they're heard and that they're valued, the outcome of that is they're engaged. And everybody's talking about employee engagement. And so to know that simply by us communicating, that can improve employee engagement, it's worth it. It's worth it to share and to be able to say, I'm struggling. I'm not really sure. I don't have all the answers. I know that this has come up and we're going to figure this out together. Another piece of a transparent leader that is going to help facilitate trust in your team is honesty and integrity. Transparent leaders, they're honest and they're consistent in their words and their actions. They don't hide the truth. They don't sugarcoat information. Now, look, on the DISC profile, I'm a high D. I'm super direct. I have to work at actually sugarcoating stuff. But you don't, it's not the two extremes. So even though a transparent leader doesn't sugarcoat, they also don't have to just like vomit it out or be so direct and not filter. But they give the information with integrity, even when it's difficult. Honesty is also another crucial characteristic. Honesty, being honest, it means not only telling the truth, but also being consistent in our words and our actions. And so then now let's talk about vulnerability. Vulnerability is also important. As leaders, hate to admit it, we all know it. Everybody under us knows it. We're not perfect. And it's okay. It's okay to admit when we've made a mistake or when we don't have all the answers. I have learned the art and the joy of laughing at myself when I make a mistake. Again, being a super high type A perfectionist person, it was really a challenge for me to learn how to say I was wrong. Those are probably three of the most difficult words to come out of my mouth. I remember when I was working at the hospice company and I had made a mistake. And so I went to my boss and I was like, so I have to tell you something. I'm sure it's not going to be a shock to you, but here we go. And I was like, I was wrong. It almost came out as a whisper because I was like, oh, I hate when I'm wrong. I like being right. I like being precise. I don't like making mistakes. I struggled for a long time with making mistakes and admitting those in public, because then it was like, oh, am I going to be less of a leader because I just said that I made a mistake? But everybody already knows that we're not perfect. They know that we're going to make a mistake. It's not like we're hiding it from them. Transparent leaders are willing to be able to admit that. And by showing their human side, you build trust and you build rapport with your team members. When you're able to say, I didn't do that right, or oh, doggone it, I forgot about that, then all of a sudden you are becoming more human. You know, for a long time, bosses and leaders, they were put up on a pedestal, and the people that they led kind of felt disconnected from them. But when we're able to be real and to be human and just show that we are subject to forgetting, we're subject to making mistakes, we're subject to sending an email without the attachment, all of a sudden they're like, okay, not only does that make them feel like they can be connected with you, not only does that make them feel like they can be human and it's safe for them to be able to say, I made a mistake, but it also gives them something to reach forward to. Like they can say, well, if she made a mistake and she's the leader, maybe someday I can develop into something more than where I'm at now. Does that make sense? And then the final piece is empathy. Now, empathy plays a significant role. Understanding and valuing our team members' perspective, it fosters trust and it strengthens our relationships. Transparent leaders, they understand and value their team members' perspectives. Again, if I don't have all the answers, I need to make sure that I've surrounded myself with people who might have some different answers. It's fascinating to hear other people's perspective and to hear what their thoughts are and what their suggestions are. I have learned to become comfortable with not being the smartest person in the room. And I will admit, it took me a while to get to that place in life. I didn't start out that way as a leader. As a leader, I started out with, I'm in charge. I have all the answers. I'm going to be the one who knows it all. I'm going to be the one who directs it all. I was not a fun person to have lead, but I've learned about listening to what other people have to say and listening to their perspectives, getting to see life through their eyes. It's actually allowed me to be a broader person and not be so narrow-minded. When we show this empathy, it fosters trust and it strengthens the relationships that we have in our team. So these characteristics, they work together to create an environment of openness, honesty, and respect. And those are the pieces where trust can flourish. Trust flourishes in that kind of environment. So let's explore how transparency for you as a leader directly correlates with building trust within your team. When we communicate openly, when we share our goals, our challenges, and our progress, we show our team members that we trust them with important information. It makes them feel more valuable, like not just that they're a cog in the wheel or that they just show up and that they really have no significance. This helps to foster a culture of openness and collaboration where team members feel empowered to contribute their ideas and insights. And then being honest about our decisions and also providing context behind them, that builds credibility and it fosters understanding. And what I have found is that when a team understands why you're doing something, how you came to the decision of what you're doing, you'll get a higher amount of buy-in. Can you imagine knowing that there was going to be a change that you were making in your company, whether it was big or small? I remember there was a time where we were changing the mileage reimbursement, and we were taking off when they were driving to their first visit and also taking off from when they were driving from their last visit home. It's commuter miles. You know, if you work in a mile and if you work in an office, you don't get paid to commute. You don't get paid your time and you don't get paid the mileage to come into work. Well, in certain industries where they're out doing home visits, at the company I was at, they were getting paid for that. So having to talk them through that, because for some of them, that was a really big deal. And so talking through, this is why we're doing it. For one, it was to be IRS compliant. And then how we came about to that decision, how we got to where we were at today. And that allowed them to kind of get a little bit of a peek into the processes that we do, of how we were reviewing things to make sure that everything was on the up and up. And it also gave us an opportunity to listen to their thoughts, and we allowed for them to make suggestions. Well, what about this? You know, again, knowing that we were wanting to be IRS compliant, but still allowing them a voice. When our team members, when they know the reasoning behind a decision, even if they don't agree, they're more likely to trust our judgment and our leadership. So consistency in our actions, that also plays a crucial role in building trust. When we follow through on our commitments, on our promises, our team members know that they can rely on us, which strengthens their trust in us as leaders. So how do we put all these principles into practice? Well, first of all, we want to lead by example. One of the most effective ways to promote transparency within our teams is to lead by example. This means demonstrating transparency in our own actions and in our own words. When we openly communicate with our team, share information, admit our mistakes, we set a precedence for transparency, and others will follow that. The other thing we do is create open channels of communication. Transparency thrives in an environment where communication flows freely. As leaders, it's important to create open channels of communication where team members feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and concerns and ideas. Now, at first, that might take a little bit of time to build that up. Something that you could possibly do, and maybe you already do this as a leader, is having a suggestion box where people can submit their stuff anonymously, whether it be a complaint, a thought, an idea, whatever. And then at the next all staff, bringing those things out and then having a discussion about them. That can begin to show people that you do really value what they're saying, that you want to talk through this, you want to hear their thoughts and suggestions and their complaints, and then opens it up to having some dialogue within the team. That might be a channel of communication that you can use to get started. So whether it's through regular team meetings, one-on-one discussions, or those anonymous feedback channels, providing those avenues for open dialogue, that fosters transparency and trust. The next thing is you need to be approachable. Transparency is about accessibility. As leaders, we should strive to be approachable and accessible to our team members. Are we putting off the vibe of, oh yes, I have an open door policy, but only if you're coming in to say good things? Or do we have a vibe where we are available to answer questions, address concerns, and provide support when needed? When team members feel that they really can approach us with anything, it builds trust and it strengthens our relationship with them. I remember I was working, and one of my assistants, he came into my office and he closed the door and he was really upset, and I knew he was really upset, but I could also tell he wasn't quite sure like how to have that conversation with me, because we were still kind of new working together, and there had been a death in the family, and he was like, I need to go. I was like, of course you do, absolutely. And you could almost see this sense of relief on his face. And I said, did you not think that you could tell me about that? Again, I know I'm really driven. I know I'm focused, but I said, didn't you know you could tell me that? And he says, I just wasn't sure. We're still new to each other. We're still getting to know each other. And I just wasn't sure. And so making sure that your team knows that they can approach you with anything, that's going to really strengthen those relationships. And then transparency, it isn't just about sharing information. It's also about providing context behind the information. We talked about this a little bit. When communicating decisions or sharing updates, take the time to explain the reasoning behind them. Help your team members understand the why behind your actions, even if they don't agree. Providing context, it fosters understanding and it builds trust in your leadership. They might not agree with it, but if they understand how you came to that decision and why you're feeling that it is the right decision, then there will be that greater sense of buy-in. And finally, consistency. Consistency is key to building trust as a transparent leader. I would like to think that this goes without saying, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Being consistent in your actions and your words, following through on your commitments and your promises. When your team members know what to expect from you, it creates a sense of reliability and trust. Consistency means being transparent, even when it's challenging or uncomfortable. Don't shy away from difficult conversations or tough decisions. Instead, approach them with honesty and integrity. Now, before we wrap up, I want to open up the floor for questions, discussions. Feel free to share your experiences or insights, and let's learn from each other as we continue on our leadership journey. Any questions? What has been some of your experiences?
Well, I mean, obviously everything you said makes perfect sense. And that would be the perfect leader to do all those things. It's always a work in process for everybody. And not everybody is a leader. You know, not everybody can be a manager. They might be really great at the job, but maybe not a good manager because they haven't had the training to do so. And I think a lot of companies maybe miss that boat and don't offer the training that is really necessary when they get into a leadership role.
Yeah, for sure. I talk about that a lot as well. Like, yeah, I could talk about that for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that I have difficulty with transparency when it comes to all the employees within my company, because I might tell my top managers and then it's like the telephone game. Each time it goes down a level, it's not what my original intentions are. And as much as I would love to hold like a all company meeting, we do multi-site home health care. So it'd just be very difficult.
Yeah. So then, wanting to be a transparent leader, wanting to be somebody connected with all of your staff, and yet recognizing those challenges, what have you come up with? What are some options that you can do there?
Well, a technique that I've started to do is I've asked people to summarize what I said. So making sure that the top managers actually can understand and tell me back what I said. And then I've tried to do it through just meeting channels, because we run through EOS. So we have our top meeting, and then they have a meeting with their team, and their team has that meeting. So I think I could definitely improve on making sure that my top managers are doing that same feedback loop. Are you completely understanding? And if you're not, you can reach out. I'm fine with anyone in the company reaching out to me personally if they're not understanding the change.
Yeah. Good. Thanks for sharing that.
Hey, RJ, are your meetings virtual or in person?
I like to do in person. So like with the management team, it's in person.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. People get easily distracted in the virtual meeting.
That's why I was wondering.
Yeah.
And then maybe they don't always get your message if it's virtual.
Yeah, I've had a lot of issues with some people getting the message and then others not. And it tends to be the ones that are the most focused, and then their teams understand it. But like the other teams are like, why was this decision made? And I was like, I thought we were on the same page there.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else? Well, remember, transparency and trust, they're not just buzzwords. They are essential ingredients for effective leaders. And by embodying these principles, we create stronger, more cohesive teams that are poised for success. And I want to thank you all so much for coming today and being a part. Just a reminder, we meet every Thursday at noon for the Lunch and Learn for Leaders and those who want to be. Anybody can attend. This is a free event that anybody can attend. And so feel free to invite other people to come along. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Jill Valdez. You can also find me at linkconsulting.info. And when you go to the website, you will have the opportunity to download my free book that I have for you. It's a gift. It's called Confident Leadership: How to Be a Confident Leader of a Committed Team Providing Stellar Service. I joke that the title of the book is probably longer than the book. It's a very short ebook, and it's the beginnings of the future. So I'd love for you to take advantage of that and to have that free gift. If there's ever anything that I could do, please feel free to reach out. And again, thanks for being here and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Great to have you here. Leave.